everybody. Welcome to another episode of That Podcast. I'm Pastor DJ Lura, and with me always is Dana Mashevsky. And we have some new guests here with us that we're excited to talk to. We have Gage Thalman and Katie Stensgaard.
Oh,
hey.
Redeem myself.
I don't know, the crashing glass sounds about right. All right, so we were talking about your Gage. You went to Concordia University, and then you traveled to the great state of California. California, yeah. And while you were there, you were a part of a church. Can you tell us from there?
Yeah. So I did an internship at Trinity Lutheran Church. It's in San Pedro, California, which is the port of Los Angeles. So a lot of people probably will know like Long Beach area. Mm-hmm. It's the big town next to it. And basically what you did for your year of internship, you had a special area of ministry that you kind of focused on. And it's 20 hours a week for the church, so you work all day Wednesday, basically, on church tasks. So whether it was, they were remodeling a lot of the church in my time, so some weeks it was, all right, we got to move all this stuff from this room to this room because this room is getting worked on this week. And then other weeks it's, all right, I have a youth group message to work on, so I'm going to work on that today, or, just a whole bunch of different things, or pastoral care meetings. And so that was one day of your week that you would work doing internship things. And then the other day was Sunday. And basically all their ministries happen on Sundays, where here we do Sunday morning church, and then like our big night is Wednesday, which is pretty normal, I think, for the Midwest. Of what I've experienced in churches is lots of Wednesday night just because of sports and school schedules. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But they do all of their ministries on Sunday evenings. So the big thing there was, we don't want families to feel like they have to schedule another night of the week. So it's just like, come in the morning, come in the evening. We just want you here all day. It's like a big party, So every week it was church on Sunday morning, and then you kind of chat and do your thing, and then you have like a couple hour break. And then we basically start at 3:00 to prep for the evening, and then you go till 9:00, end of youth group. Okay. And it was awesome. It was so fun. And you live in the apartments that kind of talked about last episode. So there's apartments right across from the church. And I had 2 roommates my intern year. And then there was 3 female interns with their, Kira Blackstead is the family ministry director there, and she lived with the interns. Mm-hmm. So we would have, what I'm looking for. We would have like a group meal. There's a word that I'm missing, but
potluck. Do you call it potluck?
No, we didn't call it a potluck, but sometimes we would have potluck.
We like potlucks here. Yeah.
But yeah, we would just, community meal. So everybody that was in the intern community would do a meal once a week, and we'd play a game or we'd watch a movie. And it was basically just like, we're living in this space together and we're going to do life together. Yeah. And then there was the rest of the week is basically you can work, you can do school, like whatever you were doing in your year, so you can pay for student loans or save money for school, or kind of work towards. Annika Elfson, my fiance, was doing like prepping for a grad program. So like there's a bunch of different things.
So you guys met in California.
We met in Minnesota working at camp at Mount Carmel. Okay. And then we reunited in California. Aww. And I
planned it, or was it like, hey, I know you?
She was showing up, and I said, I think I want to be here for another year. So, and then it just...
So God planned it.
Yeah. Yep. It just all worked out. So
there you go.
Very thankful for that. But yeah, and then the rest of the week, you're kind of just like working, doing school, whatever you're doing. And then Wednesday night was our, they called it Theta Young Adult Community. Mm-hmm. So high school seniors through 29-year-olds. Mm-hmm. We'd hang out for 3 hours on a Wednesday night.
Why theta? Like there's alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta,
I know
eta.
you. I was like, did you work through the whole alphabet to get to theta?
I just recently talked to Nathan, and I was like, Nathan?
They had an eta quilting group for their 65-year-olds, and they had a gamma
That's what we should do. We should just name everything.
I think it was, I don't know. I texted Nathan about it and he gave me an answer and I'm not going to be able to explain it. That's the thing. It's just like, if we want to know, we got to talk to Nathan. So maybe I'll get more clarification next time, but there was a description somewhere in there, but then it just kind of stuck. It was like,
and now,
are you going to
Theta?
Just
what it is.
It's Theta.
Yeah.
And like it's so cool because they started this about 5 years ago, the internship program and Theta community. And it started with like 5 people, 5 young adults. And they were like, what if we did like once a month? What if we did like every other week? What if you kind of were more in charge of like what it looks like? And they finally landed on every single week, 3 hours. And it's like, this is the commitment that we're asking you to make. And they kind of run their community off of the rule of life. And there's 7 ways and commitments. So it's like, Nathan does a lot of teaching.
The Benedictine rule of life?
Yep.
Right on.
And Nathan did he did a doctorate program kind of about that. So it's just like his whole school for like 2 years. He's just like, I'm going to teach on this and it's just like, wow, so good. Anyway, but yeah, so it was like the way of grace and commitment to welcome and hospitality, all these things. So like Nathan would teach, this is what we want to like shape our lives by, basically. And then at the end of like the first month of Theta, it's like you have an option to kind of commit to this way with us. And you don't have to sign it, but it's just like, we would love to live this way together.
Yeah.
And
it's a code. Like I found a code of how I want to live my life.
Exactly.
This is where I found it.
And like
some people find it in the military. Some people find it in sports.
Exactly. Yeah. And some people didn't sign it, but they still come every week. It's just like, I'm not quite like ready to do that. I'm not quite sure.
But like just being there is nothing either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like being in community with people is so important. Like we've kind of become a world in which we think we're okay by ourselves.
But I think what COVID taught us is that we're really not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and especially with young adults, I mean, like there's so much pressure.
Like people just realize like we need other people.
Yeah.
Like we need to be connected to other people.
But yeah, then that community kind of grew. I think max right now they're sitting around like 40 people.
Right on.
Like every Wednesday night for 3 hours. You know, like who has time to give up 3 hours once a week? It's like I have time, but I just don't want to.
Yeah, it's like priority.
We waste a lot of time.
Yeah. So that was really, really cool. It was, we have a meal for an hour. Basically, you sit and chat and talk about nothing.
Yeah.
And then there's usually worship, and then it's whatever kind of activity or Bible discussion, book discussion, and then we end with holding evening prayer. That was kind of
you did.
Yeah, that was, and it was so good. And so coming to atonement, it's like, I know that is not going to be possible to like
exactly
one for one mimic, but it's like, we can do that, like that is so achievable to create a space for young people to feel like they have like a say in this church, and it was so cool because in my time as an intern, you started to see just like the front right of we're Lutheran out there too. Yeah. So the front section of the church is just like the young adults zone. It felt like every single week you get like 5 to 15 young adults that sit in this space. Yeah. It's just like it's reliable. It's going to happen. So like what it did for the church, it's like you now have like VBS helpers built in. That's just like how it works.
Well, that's like a lot of our helpers here are, they're too old for kids ministry. Yep. They're connected to youth ministry now. And who doesn't love VBS?
I know, right? Like it's the best. It's good. But
so just a reminder that we are talking with Gage Stallman, who's new to our staff. He is our high school, a director of high school and young adult ministry. And we're talking with Katie Stensgaard, who's the director of our children's ministry. So if you're wondering, what are they talking about? Well, they're talking about kind of crossover places where these ministries bump up against each other because no one is on a silo by themselves. They all interact and connect.
Yeah.
That's right. And so VBS needs both. Needs children's ministry and young adult ministry to work together.
Right.
So anyway, continue your story.
Well, I don't know if there's too much more. I mean, it's just
so after your time there, you went from California. You took a calling or a position with Mount Carmel, where you had met Annika earlier on in your story, and where you had attended as a young adult leader, or as a camper.
Camp counselor.
Yeah, as a camp
I never went
counselor.
to camp when I was a kid.
Okay.
So when I was in college at Concordia, my, I guess you could call him a mentor, just like a really good buddy of mine. He was a little bit older than me, and he led our men's ministry, and he was like, we're doing a young adult retreat at Mount Carmel. And I was like, I don't want to go to that.
That sounds
horrible. And it was in January.
Hard pass.
January.
Absolutely not.
Up north, Minnesota. And I'm like, I do not want to go to that. But he's like, you're going to go. And I was like, fine. So I went.
Say it like that.
Yeah.
Okay, it just dawned on me. I just realized something about what you said earlier about up north. When I think of up north Minnesota, you know what I think of? Duluth.
Yeah.
When I think of Alec, you know what I think of? If you're cool, you call it Alec. If you're not cool, you call it Alex or Alexandria.
Yep.
But to me, because of my location
Of our
being
placement?
in North Dakota, it's south.
It's south.
But you just said it's north.
Yep.
Wow. What a funny world we live in.
I say
Because
up for
we
everything.
Yeah,
It doesn't
everything
matter
is
what
up.
direction
Right,
it's
right.
in,
It's like-
actually.
Yeah.
Well, when everything's flat, everything is north, pretty much.
Only way to go
It's
is
up.
up.
It's up.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, I worked at Mount Carmel, and I was invited to the young adult retreat, and that's where I met the program director at the time, Jonathan Swenson. And I was there for the weekend, and he's like, Gage, do you want to work at camp? And I'm like, sure. Sounds like
Why
a good,
not?
I never went to
Fine.
camp. I kind of always wanted to do it. And I was invited to do it.
Right.
I think that was the, if I never would have done it myself. But somebody who was in charge said, Gage, would you like to come aboard in this? I said, yeah. So then I went to camp, and it shook my world. It's like family camp. So they don't do any kids camp. It's only family camp. So you have about 150 people every week, families that stay in a cabin. You don't have to, as a counselor, you don't have to sleep in the same room as a kid who's going to wet the bed or whatever. You just don't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful. I can get
And-
sleep at night.
Yeah, I was like,
And,
because I did the other thing.
Yeah.
The sleeping with the kids in the cabin, yes.
Well, and I would imagine that all the frustration that would have happened, because still engaging with these kids during the daytime, you get to take out your pent-up frustrations in a great game called Romans versus Christians.
Yep.
So
it is a really good game.
do you have any epic Romans versus Christian stories that can be shared, or no? That's maybe
the
a
one that I
different
always want
conversation.
to share. I probably shouldn't put into the world, but
Tell
we
me
can
But
talk.
we're
about-
going to do it anyway.
Tell me, internet.
We can talk about that another time.
Well, real quickly, can you explain what is Romans versus
Yeah, so
Christian?
Yeah,
basically
please do that for me because I have no idea what you're talking about.
So
yeah.
camp game. We called it an experience. It was a point of people were angsty about calling it a game because it's not a game because it's
kind
real.
of is a game.
It's a game.
It's a game.
I'm going to
It's a
say
game.
it now. I'll be open there. But basically, the counselors act as Romans in the time of when Christianity was kind of first getting going. And then the campers are the Christians. See, this is where I was always a little confused because we want them to defend their faith.
Yes.
But then they
But then the
get
idea,
they go to jail.
is,
Yeah.
if they if they say that they're a Christian, which we want them to do, we take them to jail, and then which we had a youth chapel, and we set it up all kind of spooky, and you basically take the kids to the jail, and then they get interrogated by like a Roman soldier, which is another counselor in a different part of the youth chapel. And basically you ask them questions about their faith of like, why is Jesus God? And then you give them a chance under like weird pressure to kind of like
we're interrogating children.
Yeah.
No, I remember playing this game in I was in junior high, and it is anxiety producing because I was like, I know what I should say, but I don't want to say it.
You know what though? That was not. So I never played it. I, as a parent, watched my child play it, and it's like capture the flag at nighttime. Yeah. But what's so funny is the interaction with these adults who are camp counselors, and in my head I just picture like clotheslines of kids.
Well, that's the scary thing.
Yeah, because it's like
you're running.
My son is very competitive, and I think he was ready to like
Wait,
drop kick.
Actually, which child was it? Was it?
It's Dylan.
Okay, because I was like, any of your other children would have a very different experience.
Dylan and I are still the camp champs. We won the title and a couple years ago, and haven't been back to defend our title. But
he's like ready to fight his way out.
Yeah.
He started training in martial arts around that time after playing Romans versus Christians. But it's just, I watched the game from a distance. Like, this is brilliant, and I think of like these campers, if they have any pent up frustration towards any kid, it's like, I know who they're gonna go capture.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and the whole goal is that there's an apostle that you give to the kids. So one of the kids is an apostle, and basically they're given a song and a location that they're supposed to sing, and that's how they win. So they have to. Right? You have to, as the apostle, you have to tell all the other Christians. It's like, I'm the apostle, and this is the song, and this is the rendezvous point. And you can't let the Romans know, because obviously, like, if they find out, you're not going to win.
Don't rat us out.
Yeah. So, and like, the whole thing is that the Christians, which is so silly, but the Christians never win. Like, ever. That's the whole goal.
I also remember that.
But like, I don't know. It just always seemed a little backwards, but it is fun. It's like,
and
the kids
love it.
It's at night. The kids get to like hang out with the counselors at night. That's the whole thing.
That's the
it's a memorable experience.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's just so dangerous because it's like there's stuff
in
the ground. There's buildings. Yeah.
Well, and they're sprinting. Like, I don't know if you guys ever set up boundaries, but it's pretty much the entire
it's fair game.
Yeah.
Everywhere is fair game.
You can go anywhere, and the kids love it.
Yeah.
It's just a ball.
Well,
but you're right. It's
silly
very dangerous.
because like these kids will bring like some of them are hunters, so they bring like their like camo gear.
Yep.
This one kid brought like a ghillie suit. It has like the floppy stuff, and he just laid in the grass for like 2 hours, and he's like, nobody found me. It's like, you also didn't do anything.
Like, participate.
How many mosquito bites do you have? But so that was Mount Carmel. So family camp. You get to hang out with kids and their families, and you just get to experience letting them be safe for a week, and just
other than the interrogations.
Yes, exactly. That one part of it.
They love. It's like playing cops and robbers.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't remember there being interrogations.
Well,
you don't remember being brought into a jail and cops and robbers and being like
under the playground set.
Yeah,
I
will say
there was the jail, but I don't remember there
being anxiety also.
But yeah, it was just such a great place, and I served on summer staff for 3 summers, and then I was the summer staff coordinator, so kind of the buffer between summer staff and the program director my 3rd year. And that was COVID summer. So it was just full of chaos and fun and weird. And, and then that was my time at Mount Carmel. And that's kind of how I got connected to Christian Hoff, who is the oldest son of Nathan Hoff, who is the pastor at Trinity in San Pedro. So, and they would come up and they would teach for a week. And lots of connections, lots of like really big faith formation for myself, working in that place. So like I always think, man, I should have gone somewhere else for college. And then it's like, no, because then you miss out on Mount Carmel and you miss out on going to California. You miss out on being here. Because if you like do all the steps, I wouldn't have been at a place to work at Mount Carmel to meet atonement people.
Right.
So it's just like, holy cow. God is so good.
It only makes sense after the fact. In the midst of it, it's like, you don't want to do that. But if you could go back and change things, it wouldn't.
I wouldn't even know what I wanted. you know?
Right.
And like, who knows what kind of really hard, stressful things come from one decision back then, you know? But it didn't happen, so we're not going to talk about it.
Well, and now you are here, and we're happy to have you. And today is the first day of our Wednesday activities.
Oh.
And so...
You got it.
Yay! Good job.
I have an appropriate one.
That's happened to all of us who get to handle the
I was like,
sound.
I didn't press the fart one.
And so today we're going to have Elevate meeting. We're going to have confirmation meeting. And we're going to have Kids Club meeting.
Does Alpha starts today too?
Alpha starts today along with the Chosen. So we have something for every age group, right? So transitioning just real quickly, for people that are wondering about this, Elevate is something that we do here that's for 9th grade through 12th or 13th grade. I think it's like 12th grade. And then adult ed, whatever it's called, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, whatever it's going to be, that's 18 years old to 29 years old, right, Gage?
Yep.
And so I'm excited for it. Today you're gonna start meeting your tribe or the ministry that goes on here, and it's a good group. It's a good group with Elevate. Kids Club, Katie, goes on every Wednesday as well, and that's for, is it 5-year-old?
Nope, 3 years old. As long as they're potty trained. Yeah. Those
awesome.
Pre-Kers.
So 3 years old through
5th grade.
Yes. And just like my son absolutely loved Mount Carmel and the experience there, and talks about when are we going to go back? Like every year, let's go back. That's Dylan's response with Kids Club too. I think he likes Kids Club. He goes to Sunday school and Kids Club. I think he's a 5th grader now, so he's getting kind of like too cool for school.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and he's reaching that full like I am top of the food chain.
Yes.
Right. Well, and there's the added element of the gym at the end, and the kids really love that, and they really love Octoball.
Yeah.
And then like the big kids come in at the end, and like that's pretty cool for them for the most part. Yeah. Sometimes there's like a random Octoball. And there's a few tiers, and then they're like, okay, I'm over it. I'm ready to play again with the big kids. But yeah, there's, so that's cool. And now we added back music into Sunday school. So they're like the same but different. Like they're different curriculums, and they each kind of had different things that make them special.
Right on.
Yeah.
See, this is moments where I think about the body of Christ. I think about like a church staff. And I go, man, I'm so thankful for Katie, because 3 years old is so little.
Yeah.
And
they're
like,
so adorable.
You have to have a different kind of energy. And like you are such a gift, because I think about that and I'm like, I don't know if I could do more than 3 weeks. Like I don't think I could do it.
No, but I think about it like the same thing, but with VBS, when it's like the preschoolers, and I'm like, I've just spent the last like 5 days around all of these children. I can't do this anymore.
Right. But then the people that work with those age groups, like my volunteers,
do so well, and I'm like,
love it, and they're so good at it.
Well,
and you can tell like that's what they're called to, because they have the right energy for it.
Yep.
And it's not like work to them.
Like I even saw on Rally Day that because you had Jordan as one of the preschool, like so one of the little girls that she worked with came running up to her because she like recognized her. And
that's like the cool thing is the connections they form with the older kids and then the adults, and like that's why VBS is so cool, because it brings together like the entire Atonement family of all ages, and like everyone has a role to play, and everyone, no matter their age, intermingles, but we're like all kids together again in the name of Christ.
And we all,
like,
and we think that it's the kids learning stuff, but you sit in VBS and you're like, I've never heard that before. And I'm 26.
Well, people say that about the kids message. We brought it back, the kids message for Easter services, and people are like, I never thought of it like that. Like adults would be like, we need to do this all the time.
The children's message is way harder than the adult message. I can lose my train of thought and just ramble on and on and on. You can't do that when you're talking to kids, because they're just like, oh.
You only got them for
so long. Lost them. Yeah, you lost them, and now they're gone, and you're not getting that back.
So it's much more difficult and much more precise.
Yeah, I like to bring a lot of props in.
Props are
just
always
like
helpful.
like object lessons. And then
like you did one with birthday hats, right?
With birthday hats.
Yes.
And I like to let the kids
and like I remember that.
It's stayed with Dana.
Yes. Yeah. And the kids, I like to do a lot of kid answers, because one, it engages them, but two, like
kids say the darndest things.
They do. And I like, if I were someone in the audience, I would rather hear the kids talk. Like nothing against me, but like those little kid voices. And then it's like your son, I can tell he's your son because he always jumps like 5 steps ahead. I'm like, but give me like the answer to the actual question, not like, I know where you're going with this. I'm going to give you the Bible answer.
I love my son. He's way cooler than me, but I listen to him and I'm like, I was really annoying. I probably still am. I probably still am.
He just catches on too quickly.
You can just tell that he is your son, and I'm like,
I was like, someone not Dylan.
Yeah. He's ready to go up. He's ready to go up to the next level.
He's ready.
He's ready for confirmation.
But this was even in like 2nd and 3rd grade, and I was like,
he's been doing that for years.
I know you know what to say, but I can't call on you right now.
And that's the thing. You're like, you can't go for Dylan. Like, because it's like, I don't want the correct answer right now.
And you can tell like
so kids, what do you think about this, Dylan? You know what I'm talking about. Just keep it right
there.
Silly.
It's like nothing personal. It's just, you're too good. You're too good for this level.
You get to have all that time sitting in dad's car. Like, you know too much.
Which is funny because when I talk to my kids, they're like, oh, Dad.
But just so you know, they are listening.
They are listening. They just heard it 1,000 times. So it's like, ugh.
But it's getting in. Or my kids are like, you didn't call on me. And I was like, I did call, but I can't call on you every time.
Right. You're my ringers. I have you placed.
You're like, I can't play favorites.
Yeah, but I'm yours. Like, that should get me in the door.
That's not how life works.
The nepotism can't go on.
You have had 23 hours and 50 minutes to ask me anything that you wanted.
And you didn't want it.
It's only when someone else wants it.
And you put a microphone in their face, then they're ready to talk all of a sudden.
We should do that for Elevate. Just have a microphone.
I don't know if it works at that level.
We'll see.
It might backfire.
I think it goes the other way.
You're right. Smaller and
like, I
wider.
don't want to talk anymore.
You just made me think of something. If you start like recording it and putting it out on like YouTube and stuff like that, you might get all kinds of engagement of kids who want to come. Like, do it like a talk show every Wednesday.
Like TikTok.
Yep, tune in.
We're just
then you'd have to learn. I don't know how to use TikTok. I would have to learn how to use.
Just go live.
TikTok.
Just go live. Set it up. Live whole thing.
Yeah.
So there's something I want to talk to Katie specifically about, but we're about out of time in this episode. So should I make an attempt to
do another closing?
Yeah. Before we do, I just want to ask Gage real quick, just to wrap up, is there anything specific that you want to share or anything that's coming up that you're like, I just want people to know this?
So Elevate.
Be aware that
Elevate.
This episode comes out next week.
Yeah, but we're going to be doing Elevate all year.
Yeah, so Elevate is on Wednesday nights. So if you are 9th through 12th grade, we'd love to hang out with you. Bring your friends. I think I'm pretty cool, but there's like lots of cool. I always will have snacks. Excellent. There's soda, which who doesn't love soda? There will be water. There will be food sometimes. But yeah, we're going to basically do large group, small group games, maybe some singing, lots of praying. And then young adult community, hoping to start full-time in January. I'm thinking Tuesday nights, but if you are a high school senior through 29, 30, we'd love to hang out every week and sit and chat and eat and pray and discuss as young adults do. And then the last thing I kind of want to talk about is Sunday nights. Katie has been doing Open Climb.
Yes. Yeah, we just had the first one last week, and it was well attended. It's a good mix of like people that come here and friends and members from the community because it's open to everyone. So
if you didn't know, Atonement has a rock wall.
Yeah, we have a rock
and we
wall.
just made it nicer like 3 years ago, and so it's like professional.
Like
so in case you were confused,
we got like the premier rock wall in the front area.
We do. We also own 2 bounce houses.
So
which
like
is
if you have
very
like
confusing to insurance companies, apparently.
The idea that like a church has anything remotely close to that, people are like, that's not real.
Yeah.
It like is. You don't charge money for no. And then that just doesn't make sense to the insurance companies.
They're like, so you don't rent them out?
No, they're just ours, and we open them up for free to the community.
Yep.
Weird.
Come and see. Come and see our bounce house.
Yes. spooktacular.
Well, you know what? Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. If you're interested in attending or seeing more about all the things that we're talking about, we have worship every Sunday, 9 and 10:30, 9 o'clock tradition service, 10:30 modern service, as well as all kinds of activities and small groups and community for all ages, 3 to 99, 199, if you can reach that high, every Wednesday, starting at around 6 o'clock, going till 8 or 9, or, we'll keep the lights on if you want to keep hanging out with your group. That's every Wednesday. So, on behalf of Dana Mashevsky and our guests, Katie Stensgaard and Gage Thalman, I'm Pastor DJ Lura, and thank you for joining us. This has been another fantastic episode of... Oh, and you can join us at atonement.live, that podcast.
Yes.
Hit it. I got her laughing. She was like, it was almost perfect. Then you blew it.
Wow. So close.
Because I was like, you never mentioned anything about online, and then you came in right at the end.
I got it. Third time's the charm. Third time's the charm. So, folks, if you've been joining us the last couple of weeks, this